Hello everyone. Today is the third lecture of chapter 2 that we have been doing from past 2 lectures. Yes, and in order, this is the 11th lecture for subject accountancy. This is Payal ma'am, your accountancy teacher, and I am going to continue with the same chapter, that is chapter 2, which is dual effect of transactions and types of accounts. Alright, let us quickly revise whatever we have done in the previous lectures. If we are talking about the first lecture of chapter 2, I have given the introduction of the chapter. Of course, we have talked about a transaction in detail. Yes, that it should be a business transaction, it should be economic transaction, it can be cash or credit transaction, an internal or external transaction. Further, we have understood about the types of business transaction: economic transaction, non-economic transaction. Then in economic transaction, cash transaction, credit transaction, other transactions. Furthermore, internal transaction, external transaction. Then non-economic transaction. Yes. And on this basis, we have solved illustration 1. Then we have understood about the identification of cash and credit transaction, that how do you identify a transaction to be cash or credit. Yes. So this is all what we have done in the past 2 lectures, and today is the third lecture for the same chapter, and as I said that we are going to solve illustration 2 on the basis of the topic that we have understood in the previous transaction. Yes. What was the topic? The last topic, the identification of cash and credit transaction, and the illustration itself revolves around the same. Yes? Okay. So illustration 2, I have my textbook on my desk, and I hope you are also having your textbook with you. Yes? So let us solve illustration 2, which is very interesting. Page number 28, chapter 2, part 1, 11th commerce. Yes, we have already finished illustration 1. Now we are doing illustration 2. Yes, please pay attention. It says, describe whether the following transactions are cash or credit and explain the reason for it. Yes. So, we are just going to identify these transactions. Reason I'll explain, but what is more important is that you identify the transaction. Whether the transaction is cash transaction or credit transaction. Yes, we'll deal with the reasons also, but it is not to be given a priority. Yes, what is important is that you categorize it. Yes, starting with the first transaction, it says goods sold in cash for rupees 500. If you remember the points for identification of a cash transaction and credit transaction, and only then you will be able to say or recognize that this is the cash transaction, this is the credit transaction. Yes, You need to understand it first. So, for recognizing a cash transaction, the word cash or bank, received, paid, etc. is mentioned. Yes. And in credit transaction, the name of the party is mentioned, and in the given transaction, if nothing is mentioned, the cash nor the name of the party, then it becomes cash transaction again. Yeah. So, first transaction, goods sold in cash for rupees 500. This is with no doubt a cash transaction. Yes, why? Because the word cash is clearly mentioned in the given transaction. Yes. Then, so yes, the reason says that cash increases. How? You have sold goods. Yes. So if you are selling goods, you are receiving something in return, and what is that something? Always money. Money is the common medium of exchange, which we have understood in chapter 1. Yeah. So cash increases, rupees 500. Another point that I want to highlight here is, whenever you are solving a sum, you will consider yourself as an owner, that the business is yours. Now you have sold goods of rupees 500 for cash. You have given goods, you have received cash. So cash increases by rupees 500. We are going to solve all the transactions in this manner. You have to consider yourself as the owner. Yes? Talking about the second transaction. Goods purchased for rupees 800. You have purchased goods for rupees 800. There is no mention cash, paid, received, bank, but there is no mention about the party even. So when nothing is mentioned, the transaction is cash transaction. Yes, these points we have understood in the previous lecture. Yes, so this is again the cash transaction, and cash here decreases. Why? Because you have purchased goods. If you will purchase something, definitely you are supposed to pay for it, and cash will decrease in this manner. Yes. Then goods of rupees 900 sold to Meena. Goods of rupees 900 are sold to whom? To Meena. Did she pay? No. She has paid. There is no mention about it that she has paid. That means she did not pay. That simply means that this is a credit transaction. There is no mention about the word cash and bank. Yes. But there is a mention about the name of the party, name of the person, who is Meena. This creates debtor-creditor relationship. You have sold goods to Meena. Did Meena pay? No. Will Meena pay? Yes, she will. You don't have to think that she won't pay. She will pay, but not now. Yes. So who is Meena for you or for me? This is your business. If I am solving a sum, I will consider this is my business. So for me, Meena is a debtor. And who am I to Meena? A creditor. Isn't it? If you are thinking from your point of view that if you have sold goods to Meena, Meena is your debtor. You are a creditor for Meena. Yes. So this is a credit transaction. Alright. See the point which says before this illustration it is given. See the third point. It definitely affects the account of a person. Whose account is affected? Mina's account. Alright. The fourth transaction, goods of rupees 2000 sold to Nutan for cash. The word cash is clearly mentioned in the given transaction. So this is a cash transaction. But you may think that, ma'am, even the name of the person is mentioned. Yes, so why not a credit transaction? But try to understand. It says that you have sold those goods for cash to Nutan. Yes, so this is a cash transaction. Whenever the word cash is mentioned, that is simply a cash transaction. Then if the name of the person even is mentioned, doesn't matter. Yes, it is cash transaction for sure and 100%. Yeah. So elaborating this, you have sold goods of rupees 2000 to Nutan for cash. That means you have given goods of rupees 2000 to Nutan, and Nutan has given you rupees 2000. So this is a cash transaction. Then fifth transaction, the reason you will read on your own now. You can well understand it, so I will not go in detail with that. I will just help you to identify it as a cash transaction or credit transaction. Yes, reason you will read on your own, and definitely you will understand it. Yes. Then salary paid rupees 5000. If you remember, I said the word paid highlights a transaction to be cash transaction. You have paid salary. How much? Rupees 5000. Economic transaction, and furthermore cash transaction of service. Insurance premium paid rupees 8000. The word paid highlights a cash transaction. Yes. Then goods of rupees 200 received as a free sample. You have received goods of rupees 200 for free. A sample, you know, nobody charges for a sample. Yeah, you have received sample, so definitely you haven't paid for it. It is available for free. So this is not an economic transaction. Yes, monetary value, that means there is no exchange of money. Though you have received goods as a sample, you need not pay for it. Yeah. So this is a non-economic transaction. Once the transaction is non-economic transaction, then there does not arise any question of categorizing it as cash or credit. But firstly, it is not economic at all. So how do you address it as cash or credit? It's not possible, yeah? Find them. Next transaction, eighth one. Furniture of rupees 5000 purchased from Shriji Furniture. What have you purchased? Purchased an asset. Furniture. From whom? Shriji Furniture. Did you pay? No. It is not mentioned. Is there any mention about the word cash or anything? No. That means this is not a cash transaction. Is the name of the person mentioned? Yes. Yes. So this is a credit transaction because there is absence of mention of the word cash or bank. There is the presence of the name of the party from whom you have purchased. It is Shriji Furniture. Yes. So this is a credit transaction. Yes. Then Ninth transaction, rupees 3000 paid to Shah agency for advertisement. You have paid rupees 3000 for advertisement. The ninth transaction. Once you pay, the word paid clearly indicates that the transaction is a cash transaction. Yes? Moving ahead, commission received rupees 3200. You have received a commission of rupees 3200. The word received highlights the transaction as a cash transaction. You have received rupees 3200. Obviously, you have received in cash. And for what you have received? You have received it for commission. Yes? Then, 11th transaction of the same illustration, goods of rupees 5000 purchased for cash. Payment is made by check. You have purchased goods of rupees 5000 for cash. Payment is made by check. Yes? The word cash, the word check, both of this highlight the transaction as cash transaction. Yes? Alright. Then, goods of rupees 6000 sold. Payment is received by check. You have sold goods of rupees 6000 and the payment is received by check. I have mentioned this earlier that the payment can be in cash, either it can be by check. The payment by check is also the payment. Yes. So this is also a cash transaction. Yes. If you will give a check in writing to the person, that moment itself becomes a cash transaction. Yes. Then, rent received by check, rupees 500. What have you received? Rent. You have received a check for rent. The word check, that means simply the transaction through bank, and the transaction in the form of cash or bank is a cash transaction itself. Yes, you have received an amount of rent in check, by check. So this is again a cash transaction. Yes. Next. Yes, transaction number 14, telephone bill of rupees 700 paid by check. Again, the word check will highlight the transaction to be a cash transaction. The word payment, that means you have paid rupees 700 for a telephone bill. How? Through check, via check. Yes? So, via bank. And bank is again a part of cash transaction. Yes? Okay. So, this is the cash transaction again. The last transaction, a check of rupees 3000 issued to Lakshmi Ben for her dues. You have given a check, yes, to Lakshmi Ben. Yeah, that means you have paid her. You have given her a check, yes. This means you have paid her for her dues. That means you were supposed to pay and you have paid now. And you have paid how? Via check. Yes, through check. So check is a part of cash transaction. So this transaction also, the last transaction, is a cash transaction. Yes. So by now we are clear with one thing, that is the identification of cash transactions and credit transactions. That how to highlight, how to recognize the cash transaction or a credit transaction. The first illustration was about what? That how do you recognize a transaction to be economic transaction or non-economic transaction. Illustration 2 is about recognizing a transaction as cash transaction or credit transaction. Yes? Then the next topic is of voucher. Yes? Simply speaking, voucher is just an evidence supporting a transaction, just like a bill does. Yes? The evidence of a transaction which has taken place is a voucher. Yes? Please read this topic in detail. It is given in your textbook. We are moving towards a new topic, that is dual effect of transactions. Voucher you will read, you'll easily understand it. The simple meaning of a voucher is that it is an evidence which supports the transaction, the existence of a transaction. Yes? Okay, so dual effect of transactions that we are going to understand, which is also the heading of your chapter and an important topic of all. Yes? Transaction. First of all, what is a transaction? Exchange of what? Goods and services in terms of money. So one thing is clear from this, that there should be two parties with whom you will exchange with the other party. That simply means that there is you and there is other party. Other party will give you something, you will give something to other party. Yes? Whatever you people will exchange, in return the other party is going to pay cash. Right now or later. Yes, making it as cash or credit transaction. Yeah? So, in accounting, every transaction is having two effects, dual effects. Obviously, na? See, if you will sell goods, then goods will go out in the sense you will give them, you will give goods to the other party. And what is other party going to give you? Cash. Two effects. First effect for goods, other effect for cash. Yes? So whichever transaction takes place will always have two effects, compulsory. Yes? Okay. So with this, let us begin with illustration 3. Yeah? An important thing to be observed here is that every transaction that I will read will have two effects. Why? I have already explained. Because there are two parties. If you will purchase something, then also two effects. You have purchased something. You have given something in return. Something comes to you, something goes from you, and that something that is going is cash in case of purchase. Yes? Okay. So illustration 3 and page number 30 in your textbook. Alright? Yes. So let us quickly start. The first transaction in illustration 3, we are understanding the dual effect of transactions. I am supposed to find out which are the two effects from the given transaction. Yeah? Okay. Which two effects would take place for the following transactions? Explain. The first transaction of illustration 3, it says, Manoj commenced business with introduction of capital of rupees 20,000. Understand the scene first of all. Manoj. Who is Manoj? Of course, the person who is willing to start business, who has started business, who's not willing, sorry. Manoj is a person who has started business with introduction of capital rupees 20,000. Obviously, the very first thing for the startup of the business is capital. Yes? And another important thing that I have always asked you is that you have to consider yourself as the owner of the business. Yes? So Manoj here is you. If I am doing this sum, Manoj here is me. Yes? So Manoj is a person who has commenced business with the introduction of capital of rupees 20,000. Yes? And another thing is that you have to keep the business and ownership separate. You have to treat the ownership and management separately. So here the thing is, this is business. This is the owner. What did owner do? Who's the owner first of all? Manoj. What did Manoj do? Manoj is the owner and owner brought cash. Where? In the business. Yes? So cash comes in the business. How much? 20,000. And who brought this cash? Owner. Who's the owner? Manoj. Manoj brought rupees 20,000 in the business for starting the business, for commencing business. Yes. So anything that is brought by the owner, that is invested by the owner in business, is what? Is capital. How much capital did the owner invest? 20,000. Simple. So these are the two effects. Yeah. I repeat, Manoj commenced business with introduction of capital of rupees 20,000. Manoj is the owner. Owner has brought an amount to start the business. How much did he bring? He brought 20,000. Anything that the owner brings is termed as capital. So capital of 20,000, but what did he bring? He brought cash. So the two effects are that he bought cash, which is termed as capital. These are the two effects. Yes? Okay. So here I am going to teach you the two effects only. The explanation is given well in your textbook. You can read it ahead and you can understand accordingly. I will just highlight the two effects. That which are the two effects of the transaction. And those two effects are obviously presented in the form of answer of this illustration in your textbook. Right? Second transaction, the account is opened with State Bank of India by depositing rupees 40,000. Now, if you know, there is a compulsion, or I can say, if a person is willing to do a business, then the person should open a current account. Yes, we are not talking about its compulsion, but yes, current account is to be opened with bank for carrying out the transactions of business. Yes. So this is about business bank account and not your personal savings account. Obviously, you might be having a bank account, even I am having a bank account, but that is the savings account. For the transactions of business, you need to have a current account with bank, and which is said to be the business bank account. Yes? So, the account has been opened with State Bank of India by depositing 40,000. Yes? Okay, so this is the business bank account, and the account has been opened with State Bank of India. Simply speaking, it is a bank. Yes? So the first effect is bank account. You can even write State Bank of India, but bank is also okay. Whichever bank it is, you can simply write it as bank account, and that works. Yes? And what have you deposited? You means Manoj. You are Manoj right now. From business, 40,000 has been deposited with bank. So firstly, bank will receive this amount, so bank account. And what have we deposited? Cash. So cash goes out from your business. Where does it go? In your business bank account, which is with State Bank of India. Yes? This does not mean that someone has snatched away your money. No. It is with business bank account with State Bank of India. Okay. Then the third transaction says Manoj has purchased goods worth rupees 3,000 from Bharti Ben. Who's Manoj? Owner. Manoj has purchased goods of rupees 3,000 from Bharti Ben. What did Manoj purchase? Goods. So whenever goods are purchased, the account affected is purchase account and not goods account. Please. It is purchase account if you purchase goods. It is sales account if you sell goods. Okay, you cannot write goods account. No. If you have purchased goods, the effect is going to be purchase account. First effect. From whom did you purchase? Who are you? You are Manoj. You have purchased from Bharti Ben. So second effect is Bharti Ben's account. Who is Bharti Ben for you? Creditor, because you have purchased goods from Bharti Ben, and this is a credit transaction. Yes? Okay. Then the fourth transaction, Manoj sold goods worth rupees 5,000 to Vipul. Cash transaction or credit transaction? Firstly, you need to decide that. It is obviously an economic transaction. Let me repeat. Manoj sold goods worth rupees 5,000 to Vipul. There is no mention that Vipul has paid in cash. Just like it was not mentioned in third transaction that Manoj has paid any amount to Bharti Ben. Yes? So, Manoj has sold goods to whom? To Vipul. So first effect is Vipul's account. Second effect is sales account. Why? Because you have sold goods to Vipul. So first effect, Vipul's account. What did you sell? You have sold goods. So sales account. Clear? Okay. Then the next transaction. Yes, Vipul is who? Here is the data. Because Vipul will pay later. Be the credit transaction. Yes? Then, fifth transaction. Goods sold worth rupees 2,000 for cash. Now this is an important transaction to understand. Firstly, this is a cash transaction. While understanding the identification of cash transaction, there was an important point that cash account will definitely be affected here. Yes, out of the two effects, there will be an effect of cash account or bank account definitely in case of a cash transaction. And this transaction says that you have sold goods worth rupees 2000 for cash. Yes. So the first effect is with no doubt cash effect. So cash account is the first effect. And what you have given in exchange of cash? Goods. You have just not given, you have sold them. So sales account. Goods goes out of the business. You have sold goods. And what have you received? You have received cash. So two effects. Simple. It's quite easy. Then the next transaction, this was the fifth transaction if I'm not wrong. Yes. Sixth transaction. Manoj purchased furniture worth rupees 1500. Who's Manoj? You. In my case, me. Yes. Manoj is doing business. And Manoj has purchased furniture from, the name is not mentioned, that means this is the cash transaction. In cash transaction, out of the two effects, one is always the cash effect. So the other effect is what has Manoj purchased? Manoj has purchased furniture. Yes. So the first effect, furniture account. Second effect, cash account. Now you might be thinking that, ma'am, whenever we purchase, we are writing purchase account. But here you have written furniture account. Why this change? Let me explain. Furniture is an asset. It's not goods. The word purchase and sales is always to be used in reference of purchase and sale of goods only. Whenever you will purchase an asset, you will write down the name of that asset. Whenever you will sell any asset, you will write down the name of that asset. Yes. So this is the reason I have written furniture account here instead of writing down purchase account. Manoj has purchased furniture and Manoj has purchased it for cash. In case of a cash transaction, out of the two effects, always the first effect is, one effect of two is cash, not the first. Out of two, one is always cash. Yes. The next transaction, commission paid rupees 200. Who has paid? Manoj, of course. You might be thinking, ma'am, it's not mentioned, but this is the business of Manoj. Yes, if it is not mentioned, then definitely Manoj has paid. So firstly, this is a cash transaction. So out of the two effects, one is definitely the cash effect and another one, of course, simple, commission. The cash has been paid, but for what? For commission. Then the commission account. And another effect with no doubt, cash account. Alright. Fine then. The next transaction, yes, it says Vipul returned goods worth rupees 200. This is the new thing. Who is Vipul? Vipul is a person to whom I have sold goods, isn't it? Yes, the transaction number 4 says that I have sold goods of rupees 5000 to Vipul, and out of that Vipul has returned goods worth rupees 200. This is the scene here. So before understanding the effect, let us understand this scene. Vipul is a person to whom I have sold goods worth rupees 5,000 on credit. Yes, the fourth transaction is a credit transaction. It is 5,000. Yes, it is 5,000. Now this is the fourth transaction, and here is the eighth transaction. They say that this Vipul has returned goods of rupees 200. Yes, who is Vipul? The person to whom I have sold. Who am I? I am Manoj. Yes. So Manoj has sold goods of rupees 5,000 to Vipul, that is me. And Vipul has returned from that goods of rupees 200. Who is Vipul? Is a person to whom I have sold. Is a person to whom goods have been sold. Yes. So whenever that person returns goods, it becomes sales return, the new word. Sales is of rupees 5,000, of which goods of rupees 200 have been returned, which is sales return. So the first effect of this transaction is sales return account. And who is the person returning these goods? Vipul. So Vipul is the second effect of this transaction. Alright. Then Manoj returned goods worth rupees 150 to Bharti Ben. Now who is Manoj? It is me. Yes. I have purchased goods of rupees 3,000 from Bharti Ben in third transaction. Yes. So there is purchase of rupees 3,000 for me. Yes. Goods of rupees 3,000 have been purchased. By whom? By me. From whom? Bharti Ben. So this is purchase. So out of the purchase of rupees 3,000, goods of rupees 150 are returned. Goods purchased from that goods of rupees 150 returned becomes purchase return. And one of the two effects of this transaction, goods have been returned to whom? To Bharti Ben. So Bharti Ben's account and purchase return account. Yes, these are the two effects for this transaction. Yes. Then there is a transaction, check of rupees 2,850 issued to Bharti Ben. You have given a check to Bharti Ben. This is a cash transaction. Yes. So of the two effects, there should be one effect for cash or bank as per the rules of identification of cash transaction. Yes. So here the check is given. So one effect is of bank. What about the other effect? Of course, check is given to whom? It is given to Bharti Ben. So Bharti Ben's account and bank account. The two effects for this transaction. Simple? Yes. Then the last transaction, which says Vipul gave a check for rupees 4,800. Who is Vipul? Vipul is my debtor, to whom I have sold goods of rupees 5,000 and then he has returned, etc., etc. Yes. And now Vipul is giving me a check. Yes. So whenever check is given or taken, yes, if someone is giving you a check or you are receiving a check, the obvious effect out of the two effects is of bank. So the two effects for this transaction are bank account and Vipul account. Of course, the person who is giving check. Yes. So these are the two effects for the last transaction. Yes, with this we finish the understanding of this illustration. We finish illustration 3 here. We have understood the identification of two effects, first effect and second effect of the transactions. How to find out this effects has been explained to you in this illustration. Surely you will be able to find out the two effects slowly with practice of more sums. Yes. So in the next session we are going to continue with the same chapter and with the topic of types of accounts. Yes, here we end the topic of dual effect of transactions, and in the next session we are going to start with the types of accounts. Yes, so that's all for today. We'll see you all soon in the next lecture. Till then, stay home and study well.